Yes, hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Football Tribunal. So if you're writing the FIFA Agent Exam, then this is also part for you. But also, most importantly, it's also for people who are trying to learn the regulation so that they can be uh, top agents who knows rules and regulation on how to deal with any issue that comes across them. So today we're going to be breaking the Football Tribunal. So we'll be talking about enforcement, failure to pay, and registration bans and final provisions. This is for especially also preparing for the FIFA agent exam. This is more important because at least these are things that you face when the exam comes. Yeah. So let's go straight into it. And the football tribunal has two chambers. So what do I mean? So the resolution chambers and also the player status chambers. So the resolution chambers handles dispute like employment-related disputes between players and clubs, international employment dispute, and also certain compensation cases. So if a club and a player have a situation, then you go to the dispute resolution chambers. I'm going to put it that simple so that you understand it. Then the next we look at the player status chambers. So it handles situations like international transfer, status related to matters, certain regulations. So if you have issues, then as player, then you're going also to always solve it to resolve it there. And also when this dispute arises, so what is the time limit? So we're going to look at that. So let's say if more than 2 years have passed since the event of the issue. Let's take, for example, you had an issue and you wanted to solve the problem at the dispute resolution chambers. So if 2 years passes since that event, the tribunal would not hear the case anymore, which means it is it's not existent. This is automatically okay. So this is very important that you know that if you're handling situations like that, when 2 years elapses without anything happening, then you don't need to go again with that case, and then which means the case dies out automatically. Okay, now this is big. Let's say Article 24 of the study material. So when the tribunal orders you to pay certain things, if you're a debtor, then you are to pay. So if the debtor fails to pay on time, then you have automatic consequences. So let's take, for example, the football tribunal ruled against you, and then there were things they said you had to pay certain charges. Let's just take, for example, you had to pay €1,000 or whatsoever it might be, so that you had to pay a certain amount. And if you turn up and say no, you are not paying, or do not pay actually, then you are going to face consequences for that. And what are these consequences? Consequences against clubs. Let's look at the club's side first. The consequence. Let's take, for example, a club was owing a player, and the player took it to the football tribunal, and then this case was ruled that the club has to pay a certain amount to the player, and the club was trying to hesitate because this kind of situation come up a lot. So first, the consequences the club can face is like ban from registering new players, which is like if any transfer window opens, then you won't be registering players. You won't be registering player as a club because you have been placed a ban. Reason because there was a player that you refused to pay. So the football tribunal actually sanctions you for that. And that ban can be like national and international for up to three full consecutive registration periods. So that's how harsh it can be. So this is just for a club. So for clubs, for people listening to this who want to, let me say, own a club or whatsoever it might be, these are the things that you have to be careful with because they are very delicate situations. So now we look at the situation of players. So restriction on player official matches, that's for sure, for up to 6 months. Those are the consequences for players. Then when consequences do not apply, they can be excluded if those consequences you still say you don't want to pay, they can be excluded for that's a sporting sanction already imposed under the Article 12 Bs, or club is legally insolvent and cannot pay. So let's take, for example, 45-day payment deadline. So this is the next one. So if you have not paid, then they give you a 45, let me say they give you a 45 payment deadline. And from the time the deadline starts from time of notification. And the time is post if those things are, if there's a public holiday or whatsoever. Okay. So these are some of the issues that you are going to face if you turn up and said, let's say, reject from complying with FIFA rules and regulation. Okay, let's talk about the enforcement process. If no payment after 45 days, this is the if no payment after 45 days, creditor request enforcement, FIFA notify debtor, ban applies immediately. Even during an open transfer window, the remaining part of the window counts as a full period. So if you don't comply, even if it's during the transfer window, you'll be banned from immediately from registering player as a club. Okay, so these are also strict measures that FIFA tries to take to, let's say, put you under strict condition not to, for you to be able to comply. So these are rules and regulation talking about Football Tribunal. I think most of these rules, if you read the regulation, you're going to understand it. So that these are things that are going to prepare you for the exam, and it's going to make you, let's say, better prepared, because as I said, the exam is it's a multiple choice questions, 75% pass rate, which means 15 questions. 1 minute spent one question is equals to 3 minutes. If you spend more than more than 3 minutes or one question, you're already eating the time of another one. So these things, I do emphasize that you try to go into more of these things by reading them, getting to know them, do examples so that it becomes familiar to you. So these are most of the situations. So I wanted to just highlight this. Then tomorrow we can talk about into details about more things that involves like uh, FIFA agent regulation, so that at least it can give you a little bit of approval on what you can see into the exam. But of course, the RSTP is very important, but I think it's more also deep that sometimes if I'm explaining this, it's for some people, if they have not arrived at this place, it almost seems as if I'm singing a song. So I try not to go right deep, but we're going to go into more details when we start also the course, which begins in April. So I hope these few tips, you got a little bit of information. Then we are going to talk about this next tomorrow, and then we are going to see how we move on from there. Okay, drop any question if you need any information on this. And also, my course is operating on April, so if you haven't joined the course, then you can always send me an email and I will send you the subscriber link. Although if you go to my YouTube channel, that's on the banner, you're going to see the subscription link. Okay, but any information you can leave it, then I'm going to answer you later. Okay, this was just a short brief video. I'll be back tomorrow to give you guys more details on how the exam goes, so that you can prepare more better. Okay, take care and bye for now.